Hey everyone, and welcome to Get Your Geek On's review of Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I'm Robert, this is Lauren and Crystal, and we are going to talk first non-spoilers, and then we'll get into spoiler territory. So stick around even if you haven't seen it, and we'll give you very clear spoiler warnings for when we're going to get into it. First off, the movie is directed by David F. Sandberg and stars an entire cast of people. There's so many people, and I got to name drop them. We got Zachary Levi, we got Jack Dylan Grazer, we got Asher Angel, we got Helen Mirren, Lucy Liu, Rachel Zegler, Adam Brody, Ross Butler, and I'm going to stop naming names because it's just too many people. But before we, talk about any of the cast members, I just want to get initial thoughts from you, Lauren. How did you like Shazam! Fury of the Gods?
I liked it. I thought it was funny. I don't know. I'm a pretty big fan of the Shazam movies in general. I think that they're a pretty good DC movie, as I haven't really seen a whole lot of really good stuff from them lately. So I liked it. I liked it.
Okay, perfect. Crystal, what about you?
I mean, it was a good time. I had fun watching it. And I think
Yeah.
that's really important, especially like if you're trying to get people out to the theater right now, you gotta have fun at movies. And it was. It was the perfect amount of heart and laughter. And I thought it was a pretty good movie. I would definitely pay money to go see it again.
Well, there you go. I will say I think I'm in the same camp as you guys. I had a fun time. I thought it was a good movie. I like the first Shazam movie. I thought that was a fun time. I was a little worried going into this because the trailers made it seem really serious and really like it felt like the tone was way different than the first movie. But then watching the movie, it was like, oh no, this is kind of what I remembered. It's still very funny. You're still dealing with that whole like we're kids in superhero, bodies. And so we're still dealing with all of that. And then it did have some really heartwarming moments that caught me by surprise that I'm sure we'll get into in spoiler territory. Because I was not expecting that in this movie. But I had a good time. I thought, especially if you like the first Shazam movie, I think you'll like this one as well. It might not be quite at the same level. Maybe that first one was just a little bit more surprising because we didn't know what to expect. Whereas this one, it's kind of like it's more of the same, but it's a lot of fun. It's a good time, and you get to watch superheroes, and magic and wizards and dragons and all kinds of stuff. Who doesn't love that? So I had a good time. But let's talk about some of our favorite maybe performances or action sequences, things like that. Again, without getting into spoiler territory, Crystal, we'll start with you this time. What were some of your favorite moments of the movie?
I mean, just the entrance of the Daughters of Atlas
Mm.
with Helen and Lucy coming in and establishing their badassery immediately. And it was so good. They did such a good job, and you could tell, like, as soon as you saw them, that they meant business.
Hmm.
Plus, the costuming was fantastic in that movie.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Lauren?
These special effects I felt like were really, really good. I was impressed with them. I am a pretty big fan of Zachary Levi as well as Adam Brody, so it was definitely a hit for me. I felt like not quite as funny as the first one. I felt the humor, but to
Hmm.
me, it might have just felt a little bit off.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me, I've been a big fan of Zachary Levi for a long time. And that was part of my draw of even watching the first Shazam movie was it's Zachary Levi. Like, let's go watch it. And it's more of the same. I thought he did a really good job in both movies. One thing that I thought this movie actually improved on the first one was in the first movie, Billy as a kid was like super kind of depressing and broody and boring. And Zachary Levi was like, I'm here to 11. And it was like, this is supposed to be the same person. Like, I know that you got superpowers and that's exciting, but like, I didn't feel like they were the same person, even though I was enjoying the movie. And in this one, they did feel like they were more meeting in the middle. Like, Zachary Levi was dialed down just a little bit. And the actor that was playing Billy Batson was, a little bit more, not quite as like just, my life sucks. So it kind of met in the middle a little bit better for me. And definitely, I agree. The Daughters of Atlas, and I don't want to leave out Rachel Zegler. Like she is a powerhouse in terms of just her performance. And I was totally blown away by her. And then Jack Dylan Grazer, just such a good job, and he did such a good job in the first one as well.
Yes.
And
It was nice to
he's
see him get fleshed out more.
yeah, I loved seeing that, and that kind of brotherly relationship that the two of them have, works really well, whether they're Adam Brody and Zachary Levi, or whether it's Jack Dylan Grazer and I think it's Asher Angel. I thought the dynamic worked no matter who was portraying those characters. So yeah, I really liked it, and from an action standpoint, yeah, I agree. Like there was a lot of fun. Some of it was like it felt a little bit like we're just getting a CGI blasted into our brains. There was a little bit like of chaos going on, but then it was broken up by like these like totally oddball moments that they would only work in Shazam. Like, and I'm just gonna say, no spoilers, but when the Skittles moment happened, I was like, this is completely ridiculous, and I'm totally having fun.
It was so badass, though. That whole sequence was great.
Yeah.
It was
Like,
really
I was living
unexpected.
for all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I definitely feel, like Laura was saying, that it those jokes sound like they almost felt more forced this time around,
That's a
but
good word.
nothing in the movie was disingenuous, and that's what I
True.
loved the most about it. Like, it's like the moments that were heartfelt didn't feel like they were just plastered on to be added. They felt earned, every one of them. And I really appreciated that. And so, and that there was this great, like, just balance of heart and levity in that movie that I really like, just made it that much more enjoyable.
For sure. Lauren, any other like thoughts before we give scores and move on to spoilers?
No, I think you guys pretty much covered most of it. It definitely, I feel like Crystal called it when she said it was kind of, forced. That is exactly kind of how it felt for me as well. It's funny. I liked it, but to me it just lacked a little bit, the jokes and things lacked a little bit of the charm, I guess, of the first one.
Okay.
And but yeah, otherwise, I mean, it was good.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Well, let's roll into our scores and then we'll move into spoilers. I'll go first because I haven't had to go first on any of these other times. So I'll go first this time. So this for me, it's a good movie. It's not great. It's certainly above average. I'm gonna give it about a 6.2 out of 10. Like I think is good. It's on the plus side of fun. But it's not one that I'll probably rewatch a bunch of times. Might, pick out scenes here and there to rewatch. But overall, I thought it had good heart, pretty good humor, fun action, good performances. And so overall, it was a fun time in the theater. Lauren, go.
I would say probably, I'd say about a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
I will probably watch it again, maybe a couple of times, but it's nothing that's going to be super, super memorable. Something that I'm just going to go crazy over.
Sure.
I'm just gonna I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it a 7.5
Ooh.
because this is a really solid movie, and especially like I said, there was a good balance between heart and levity. But as far as like the franchises that, well, I mean, we're coming out of DC, like it's the most solid one. Like, because let's just face it, the second Wonder Woman was not it at all. It was not good. And it was so sad because that first movie was a cornerstone. And I felt like Shazam kept that quality. And I felt like there's definitely places where they improve, where they can open the universe more. So I definitely give it a 7.5. I'd pay matinee to go see it again, but I definitely enjoyed it. So
Nice. Awesome. Well, those are our non-spoiler thoughts on Shazam. So be sure to stick around if you've seen the movie for our spoiler thoughts. We are going to get into spoilers right now. If you're leaving now because you haven't seen it yet, thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to check out all of our content at Official GYGO. But let's roll in to spoilers and talk about maybe some of the things that either didn't work as well or some of the things that we want to highlight that were among our favorites. And I want to start here as well because I want to talk on what you were talking about, Crystal, with some of the heart things. And this is where you get into the character of Billy, and it's established from the first movie that he is, in the foster system. He doesn't know who his parents are. Of course, by the end of the first movie, he finds out that basically his mom abandoned him on purpose. It was like, I don't want to have to deal with a kid. I'm not a fit mother or whatever. People go through their own things all the time, so no judgment on that. But he's obviously a person who has really struggled with finding family and trusting that the family he has is actually going to stick around. And that arc that they gave him in this movie, and it was very clearly established, like early on when all the kids are leaving and it's bye mom, bye mom, bye mom, bye mom, and it's bye Rosa,
Yeah.
like it's very clearly he's not ready to call her mom, not because he doesn't view her that way, but because he doesn't want to be hurt, right? He doesn't want to have a mom leave him again. And so by the end of the movie, when they have that scene, and like, I want to see my Billy, and he turns into the young kid, and like that, it got me. Like it was such a good scene. And again, it was just sold so well by the actors. And I was just like, this was telegraphed from a mile away. I knew exactly what you were doing, and it still worked really well. So I just want to call that out.
Right.
Like that was a really good moment in this movie.
It was
And
very,
I
very
think that lends to the genuality of the movie is because, yes, you saw that moment coming from miles down the road, but it still got you. Like, I definitely teared up a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the death scene was one where I was like, get up, get up.
Yeah. That was another moment with Jack Dylan Grazer where he was really selling, like how
so
much
good.
he, like loved his brother and, didn't want to lose him. Yeah, absolutely.
That was definitely a scene. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
That was definitely a scene where I was just tearing up. But I will say, but at the same time, I knew he was gonna get up. I knew he did, or I knew he was going to. But to me, I thought it was great. I think they sold it really well. But at the same time, I felt like they should have stretched it out a little bit longer. I feel like there should have been something there to stretch it out a little bit, just to keep people guessing, just so that it wasn't so, oh, I know he's going to get back up. He's going to get back up. But then, I could have been just in denial over it because I didn't want to accept it. But I don't know. I really liked it, but I felt like the death scene could have been, stretched out a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't, it was even faster than Superman came back. We don't waste time in DC. We'll give him the sacrificial moment, but they're coming back.
Right.
They're like, they're dead. Just kidding. We need to sell comic books.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. What about you guys? Any other like moments or things that really stand out as either positive or negative that you wanted to talk about?
I want to talk about Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu and how sad that I am that they died in this movie, so I won't get to see them more because they were really good.
Yeah.
Like they were, especially like when you first saw them, they were definitely like, one-dimensional characters. They're bad guys, okay? And it was nice to see them open up a little bit, and not perfectly, which is, there definitely could have been better attention to detail with their characters, but they acted the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they did such a good job just being each other's opposites too, which was really nice. And I'll be honest, and I'm disappointed in myself, I didn't realize that was Helen Mirren until later on in the movie. Like, oh my God, no wonder this is so good. Like, and incredibly attractive, both of them. Like, just fantastic. They did such a good job. Like, I like I said, it's sad that they won't be continuing.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
they did such a good job.
It is sad. I feel like they played those roles and sold it very well. I
Yes.
kind of liked the reveal where they, took those helmets off in the beginning. I for some reason was just expecting like some big bulky men and like
Oh yeah.
they took that off. I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm here for this. This works." I
Yeah.
also I really liked Gal Gadot's little part and for two
Yes.
reasons. For one, I think it was awesome. I loved the way that they did it. But for two, because of that where Billy Batson's having that dream sequence with the
Yeah.
wizard and it's showing her from the, neck
Okay.
down.
Yeah. I just have to say, like that whole scene, I was incredibly frustrated because I was like, they're doing this again. Like we did this in the first Shazam movie with like Superman, where we're not seeing the face, and I was so
Mhm.
frustrated. And then, of course, by the end of the movie, when she actually did show up, I was like, oh my god, like that was a creative
Right.
choice on purpose to mess
Yes,
with me, and it
Yeah.
totally worked because
it
I was
did.
so frustrated
I
that it
was
was
I
too.
know.
actually Gal
I
Gadot.
was like, oh my God, why are they trying to do this? This is kind of stupid. This doesn't, it was definitely frustrating. And then it was like, they were like, uh-huh, got you. You thought we couldn't pull it off and we did it, So I really liked that.
Yeah, and I
And it
thought
was
that was just one of the beats of humor that I thought worked every time they mentioned it was like the romance between Anthea and I can't remember, I never remember that character's name. Where it's like
Teddy.
she's 6,000 and he's 17, and then it's
Mhm.
like
He's like, why is
Billy
this still
Batson and Wonder
inappropriate?
Woman. Yeah, and then she's thousands of years old, and I loved like the final button, like with the mom being like, "What is it with our boys and older women?" And I was just like,
That
Or in
"Well,
that one.
you put Helen Mirren in the movie, and I'm just gonna
is
say
true.
we're
Helen
here for the
Mirren
older
and
women."
Lucy Liu.
Yeah, oh,
Those
of
are
course,
like
yeah,
thirst trap old women, older women. Come on now. You put cougars on screen and not expect them to go chasing after them.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's yeah, and of course Gal Gadot. It was very nice to see her back as Wonder Woman. I'm a huge fan of that first movie. As you said earlier, Crystal, the second movie is
It's so
trash.
good.
It's trash. It's
Yes.
terrible.
It's so
Um,
sad too because they had a great cast to do
they
it. Like,
did. They did.
how do you have Pedro Pascal and fail?
I don't know. Normally it doesn't. But he was in Kingsman 2 also, and that was also bad. So I don't know. Maybe just don't do sequels. Don't do sequels, Pedro. That's what it is. But anyways, yeah, it was really nice to see her back. And I was surprised at how much this movie seems to be part of the universe moving forward. I mean, especially with that post-credit scene where we're bringing in characters from the Peacemaker series that were part of like the Suicide Squad, and then I think that even the one character was also part of Black Adam, although we seem to be leaving Black Adam to the side.
Well, they called it the Justice Society, so
They
definitely that
did.
they
So I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, man, are they like, because they haven't closed the door on Zachary Levi and more Shazam movies. But I don't know. I kind of was assuming this was going to be it for Shazam, and the way they set it up, I think maybe there's still possibilities. And that means that there's still possibilities for Gal Gadot as well, because
because
there's
she yeah
that direct interaction between them. I don't think that you can just be like, and now it's a different Wonder Woman without it being really weird.
Exactly.
They could
Yeah.
do
I
it,
mean they're
but
kind of they're gonna do what they do, right? Like whatever they think is gonna make the money. But it'd be nice to see
how
because
dare you accuse them of not having all their choices driven by
how
creative,
dare I point out capitalism?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's it'd be nice because like Shazam and Fate and Black Adam, their stories are very heavily intertwined. Like
Mhm.
all the magic stuff in DC has a good line around it. It'd be nice for them to introduce more. I'd like to see like the Justice League Dark. Uh,
Sure.
and I feel like Shazam is that light door that can open it up. If these movies keep doing good, then more of that side of DC may be evident. Like they might start opening that door more, which would be nice because we've seen 1,000 like Batmans. Okay, we've seen so many Superman movies. Like these characters, they are beloved, but it'd be nice to see something different. And Shazam, I feel like offered that too.
Yeah, for
For
sure.
Because like it's really heavily into mythology too, which I'm all about. Which is a nice little hole to go down through for DC because they have like a whole just like Marvel where they just connect right to a mythology and just kind of root around in there. So
For sure. What about you, Lauren? Any other things, positive or negative, that you wanted to talk about in spoilers?
I thought actually some of the little jokes were cute. Like whenever when she's on the dragon, when Lucy Lou's on the dragon, and he calls her Khaleesi, I thought that was cute.
Yeah.
And then whenever I don't remember exactly what was going on, she's like, "Yeah, I have the wisdom of Saruman." I don't know. I thought
Yes.
that was
yes,
really
Yes.
silly.
That was
it
a
was
nice
how
little,
near and Nephilies take place.
yeah, a
Yeah.
nice little illusion. Yeah, and I thought, like, again, the character of Shazam and the way Zachary Levi plays him, like when he like first, he steals the staff the first time, and then he's like, I'm gonna toss it to my bro, and she just gets it back immediately. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is totally in line with this character. But I like that,
Yes.
he was able to steal it from her again, kind of using, misdirection, that kind of thing. It's like, okay, this works. Another one of the heartfelt moments that I liked was the Wizard's final pep talk to Zachary Levi, where he was talking about like, you may not be wise in your head, but you're wise in your heart, and the way that you see everyone is worthy, and that's what makes you special, and that kind of stuff. I was like, this is working well, from that heartfelt standpoint. I will say, we are in spoiler territory. There are some major plot holes and things that kind of held it back for me. And I'm just going to point out one, which is when, like this whole plan that the daughters have is to like get this apple thing, and they have to go to the super secret Shazam lair, but then they have a door that leads directly there,
The
and
whole
Helen Mirren
time.
walks through it.
Yeah.
And I was like, they needed to explain that better, because I think they're not allowed to pass from theirs directly into the Shazam layer, I think, but they didn't say that, and so it feels like, why didn't you just walk through the door,
Could
grab
have been
the
done at
apple,
any
and walk
second.
back? Like, so it was just, that was like a major thing where I was like, I am very confused how the door
Yeah,
that
that
they're
is
trying to
true.
escape out of is the one that she comes through.
And
So,
how did they come through originally too? Like how
yeah.
I mean, they came through because the staff broke, right? But they don't tell you how they came through.
No, they
So
do
how
not.
did yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, no. Now that you
So,
pointed out, I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
it's a plot thing. It doesn't really make sense. Again, you're having a good time. You're not really necessarily worried about it. The little pen that writes their notes. That was another one. Like, that was funny. That was a funny
It
joke where it was
was.
like, should we proofread this? Nah, I'm sure it's fine. Steve doesn't make mistakes, whatever. And I was like,
They're
all
like
right,
joke.
I'm
Just put
enjoying
another
that.
joke over that. They wouldn't even care.
So before we wrap it up, any final thoughts, any other things that you feel like, I really wanted to say this about Shazam and Robert didn't give me the chance?
I really liked that because of, that final scene in the dome, and like the death scene. I like that Billy Batson finally got the opportunity to just like sacrifice himself, because I feel like, throughout a lot of it, he lacks a lot of confidence, and so he got to step up and sacrifice himself for everyone, and he did it well.
Yeah, perfect. How about you, Crystal?
I mean, I just want to like point out a gag, like the name gag. That was probably one of my favorite things throughout the movie, like the Philly fiascos. And you're like, no, that's not our name. We're still working on it. Like I liked that. It was just like simple jokes like that that gave you, that where you kind of just laugh out of your nose a little bit, but it was just enough to keep me into the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I will say, I think that the button on that where he's like, I'm Captain Every Power Junior. That
is
did
Howard
not work.
Jr.
That
Yes.
fell flat. That did not work for me. So that was kind of
I
like
loved it.
the whole movie. They had been like having that joke, and it was like, all right, this is kind of funny, but it's also not really. But then that moment like totally fell flat. And I will say I did like the moment where they revealed that they were superpowers to their parents, and I think it was Pedro is like, "We're gonna reveal our secret," and he's like, "I'm gay," and everyone's like,
He's
"We
like, yeah,
know."
you know.
Like
It's
that's
cool,
not
buddy.
that's
I
not
actually,
yeah. It's very nice to have it, a moment like that, and there's just they don't linger on it. They're like we're gonna
yes,
do it, and
so
then we move
perfect.
past it, and it's not important.
Yes. It was
I mean,
just
it is
and that
important,
too
but it's
was
not.
another one of those heartfelt moments where it was just enough to be like, yeah, like the fact that you're gay is just it's a point of facts. So
Right.
I loved it. I loved it. The one thing too I wanted to bring up was just how when it talks about the mythical creatures and how well designed they were. Like every one of them, the first one popped out and I was like, holy shit, it's a manicore. I didn't even have to think about it. Like I knew exactly what it was.
Right.
And they were just designed, and then the freaking unicorns. The unicorns were so badass. I've never wanted a unicorn in my life. I was never that girl, but I wanted those unicorns.
Want one of those ones.
It was an awesome spin on it. Totally unexpected.
Yeah.
And
I agree
another
with that.
point of that joke too, like where the good jokes came out and talk the taste the rainbow.
Yeah.
Because the pocket Skittles.
Yeah.
And I love
And
that they set up pocket Skittles first, and then they're like, obviously she's gonna have Skittles in her pocket for the
Right.
unicorns.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the wizard just being totally uncomfortable. He's like, you don't understand. These are like the biggest death killers and all. Like, why are you? And yeah, no, that worked for me. Ultimately, I think a lot of this movie works. I think it was a little bit overstuffed. It was a little bit long. It felt like, there were parts that it kind of dragged a little bit for me. But overall, it's a fun movie. It had a lot of really good performances, a lot of heart, a lot of laughter. We all had a good time with it. And hopefully you did too. You've stuck around for the spoiler talk. So I'm going to assume that you've seen it and you had a great time. If you watched this whole thing without having seen it, we still recommend you go see it. I think it's still a good movie, and we would definitely recommend it. I'm Robert. That's Lauren. We've got Crystal, and we are Get Your Geek On. You can follow us all over the place: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, anything and everything at official GYGO. Be sure to follow us there, and come hang out with us. Let us know what you think of the movie. Let us know your thoughts on other things we should review, all that good stuff. Again, thank you both for joining me, and thank you everyone for watching, and we will talk to you later.
Shazam.